you for joining our Nevada Department of Wildlife Conservation Education Program. By watching, you are supporting us, definitely. If you want to participate, we do have the Nevada Fishing Guide. It's also electronic, so if you have the paper version, even better. But if you do need the electronic version, Nicole will share that in just a moment in the chat for you. This is a family program, hence the name too. It is rated PG, so no foul language or anything inappropriate. We will have to kick you off, unfortunately. Failing to follow these guidelines will mute you from the chat, Q&A, or totally just won't be allowed to come back in. So please be careful with that. Nicole Hamlin, Haddad Hamlin is moderating for us tonight. So any questions, if I miss something, she'll be on it and she'll be watching chat and also the Q&A. I have the chat open. I don't have the Q&A, Nicole, just to let you know. So we'll go over today. Know Before You Go is a big thing for me. And it's a big thing for takemefishing.org, which has been a long time running program with online tools for you guys that they've been collecting way before COVID. We're definitely getting our online toolbox geared up for you guys too, with all these webinars and other videos on Facebook and Instagram. Then we'll go over fish and habitat, what kind of fish we have out here, where they're hiding, basic bait and tackle and gear. That way you can take the kids out, that way you can take your new friend out that's doesn't remember the last time they went fishing. Tips to practice your casting, so stuff you can do right around your house, where the ponds are around your house, at any time of day or night too. And then we also have some tips and tricks for recreating responsibly. And here's a survey, so if you guys could please answer the survey. It's totally anonymous. It just lets me know how basic I should go over some things and how comfortable you guys are with other things. Yeah, I know there's some people on here that go every week at least once and once a month. Awesome. Oh. There we go. Survey timed out the phone. All right. So it's been a while, so we'll go over a little bit of the basics too. And awesome and never. So please, if you don't even know where I'm coming from with something, please type it into the Q&A or the chat and let us know what you need, please. So here we go. So we have all ranges, so this is awesome. So some of you guys will totally know what I'm talking about. Some need me to back up a little bit. Please just let me know. All right, because there's a lot of information, but I definitely want you to have the basics so you can literally go out tonight if you want to, or tomorrow. And I'll try to keep my hands so it's not so distracting on the second screen. All right. So before you go, make sure you have a fishing license. If you are 18 and older, you will have an adult license. Residents are $41 for a whole year, so that's less than $4 a month to be able to go fishing, to have fun. So it's really a small price to go out and enjoy our urban ponds around town or the lake and the river. Don't forget about Laughlin and our state park, Big Bend State Park down there, or 3 hours north we have Eagle Valley Reservoir, Echo Canyon, but they're also facing a drought. So I just want to warn you before you go somewhere, this is where we go, know before you go and know your weather. A lot of the waters around the area are it just dried up over the summer. So I think we're at 170, give or take 175 days without any rain. So some of our waters are really dry. If I miss something, you can't email me for some reason, or you just feel more comfortable looking something up, takemefishing.org has everything from your checklist to little videos on how to rig your gear up. There's also a junior license, so those that are 12 to 17 need a junior or a youth license, and that is $16. That includes the online fee. For kids, you do need the social security number for a local resident youth license. So just have that ready, and you can do it at home. And then you can just save it to their phone, your phone. Just make sure that they're all together and ready when you go out to the water, and that you can pull it up if a game warden shows up. Because if they are out when you are in that area, they're out. Who knows where they are, but they're always there. But that way you're ready for them when they get there. And just want to also point out that our urban ponds, so that everyone has a chance to catch and keep or catch and release, it is only 3 fish limit. So if you have 2 fish, you can only keep 1 more. It doesn't matter if it's a trout, a bluegill, or a catfish. And then on the river, in southern Nevada, it's 5 trout limit, and actually in a lot of our northern Nevada waters too, it's a 5 trout limit up north. But in our city ponds, it's only 3 fish total. So definitely double check the regulations, and if we have time at the end, we can go into more details if you guys want on that. Also know what fish you can take and which ones you can't take at all. So some waters are catch and release completely, and some are endangered species, and we'll have some pictures at the end. So real easy, you can get your license at indelllicensing.com and have it in 5 minutes and downloaded. It gets emailed, and then you can also save it to your phone. You just need the details and the QR code. All right. So this is just a little screen. This is what our 2020 fishing guide looks like. It has a picture of a northern Nevada stream on it. So just wanted to throw that on. Know your waters. So I'm going to go over everything from these. Well, since we're starting with the basics, I'm not going to totally go over our mountain springs up here, but there are some amazing mountain springs up here. And this is all north of Tonopah. And then this is Kirch. This is 2.5 hours north. It is a dirt road once you get off of 93. So just check weather conditions before you go out, because if it is too wet, it is impassable sometimes. So just be careful with that. But there is also camping. So on really great windy or not windy weekends, there is a campground right here at Kirch. And then to the eastern side over here, you take, sorry, this is the 318. But if you go to the right and up 93 to the right here, we have through Pioche, we have Eagle Valley and Echo Canyon as well. And then this is the Overton Arm on Lake Mead, and we go right back down to Laughlin. So, page 28 is in the 2020 fishing guide. So, Nicole, can you share the e-regulations again? Because it won't show up if we have new users. So she's going to share the link, and you can just click right there on e-regulations, and that'll bring up our fishing guide. And so we have our maps in the middle. So that's why it has that big crease, because we're seriously right in the middle. And then in the front is more overall general regulations. And then right after the maps are our southern region regulations. And so it's really hard to see on this one, but you can also go to Google Maps through our website, and you can actually zoom in and click on each of these. And we are test running a app right now, actually, for you guys to be able to download and know about all of our waters. So look for that hopefully soon too. So I'm going to go over freshwater. We are an inland state. We have lots of fresh water. All fishable. This is Floydland Park in the northwest of Las Vegas. We also have some great rivers like the Colorado River and its stand up, which creates Lake Mead and Lake Mojave above Davis Dam. Very welcome. We also have these awesome ponds and wetlands, but down here, when I say wetlands, I'm thinking more like Kirch Wildlife Management Area, which some called Sunnyside. So if you've ever heard of Sunnyside too, that's the unincorporated town near Kirch Wildlife Management Area. And there are some restrooms out there. That's more of a wetlands. That's a spring-fed area. That is fishable. Wetlands at Clark County Wetlands are not fishable, just so you know. It is not fishable until you get out to Lake Mead on that side of town. All right, and I'm a little behind, so I'm actually gonna scoot through this. So I actually kind of like this picture because you can, they actually kind of show the fish in really great spots. So some of these maps, sorry if it's a little pixelated, but you can see, we can find, see these rocks sticking out. The fish are gonna hide right along the edges here in the shadows. Same with these reed lines. These are great for finding fish. Just make sure that you're gonna be able to get that awesome lure out of there when you're casting over. So just gauge that. Also, you can see some more hiding in the aquatic vegetation here. That's where bass are definitely hiding. So keep all that stuff in mind. So I probably should have just zoomed in on this little part down here. But all of this creates that awesome freshwater ecosystem. It all works together and it all has to be clean. So I just wanted to put this in there to kind of show where these little fish are hiding, and then we see the fish sitting on the rocks looking for the little fish. So these birds are also a great indicator of where the fish are hiding too. Also, if you see these macro invertebrates or small bugs in certain areas, that's where the fish are going to go feed too. So definitely great place to look for the food first before you get out there. Oh, sorry. So I'm trying to do, I'm going to switch screens up here so you can see. So I'm pointing on one screen and not showing you guys. So the grass here, and then over here by the rocks, and the macroinvertebrates and bugs are in in here. Yes, a little easier to see what I'm talking about now. So these reed lines are great hiding spots, and you can see the bird sitting on the rock, hovering over these, and you can see them out at Floydland Park too. They have nests in the reeds, and the fish are literally right along this edge, or like right down the middle where it breaks off and creates a little stream through those ponds too. All right, so everything's working together. Yeah, we'll keep going. Keep the mouse on this page for you. All right. So we also have our fishable water key. And what's awesome about it, just to give you guys some examples, I'm going to look over at the screen I'm talking about. So I was talking about Eagle Valley and Echo, and this isn't 100%. Some of the species got lost in reprinting. So we definitely have rainbows, brown trout, and largemouth bass. You're definitely going to catch rainbows and largemouth bass, and actually crappie have gotten pretty big. So that's something that'll be in the fishing guide for next year. And then W, and then they don't even have this one on the key, so sorry about that. So this is white crappie for Echo Canyon, and that's definitely there too. So hopefully they have both for both waters. Nesbitt Lake is definitely a wildlife management area, and it's geared a little more for hunting. So just a warning on Nesbitt Lake, it is hunting season right now, so sometimes it is not open to fishing. The best time to go is in the spring, actually. So it's a great place to take kids during spring break, actually, and get some bluegill, get some bass, all of that's there. So they're all coded to that map I showed at the beginning. All of these charts are on, they're in the guide. They're in our fishing guide, but I can definitely send them to you if you email me, and my email is on the picture with the fishing rods. So as you're watching this, so that you can see both screens, go ahead and have it on panelist mode, and that'll show multiple pictures on the side. And then I saw the other question about fishing license. You do not need a trout stamp or the Colorado River stamp anymore. It is all included. We went license simplification 2018. So you just get one fishing license, you get 2 fishing poles, a trout stamp, and river access all included. For the one-day license, yes, same rules apply, I believe, and I will double check on that. And this is, thank you, Nicole, this chart is on page 30. So right after our regional map. All right, so our most common fish nearby are bluegill. I'll use the cursor here, bluegill up top. And actually, before I go over the others, do you guys know what these fish are? So what's this top right one? First and last name. Yes, it's a bass. But there's a couple clues as to which kind of bass. So it's actually a largemouth bass, and the easiest thing to know is if it's a largemouth, it has a large long line down the side, even when they're little fry and fingerlings. Nicole and I actually just got to see some. And then smallmouth bass are going to have little small vertical lines. It's harder to see their mouth sometimes, but especially when they're smaller, but when they get big, it's definitely like the mouth will go all the way down to the gill there. You can kind of see it, and the small mouth is a little smaller, but easy ID is along the side. And then do we know what this one is? What first and last name? Yes, channel catfish. And we also have black bullhead catfish, and the difference is the 2 barbels that stick up on the top are longer and almost look like little bull horns. And then rainbow trout, right, with the rainbow coloring down the side. I figure most of you guys know this guy for sure. And we will start stocking them as the waters cool off. And we were just saying it is still pretty hot out there. So that's why catfish stocking has been pretty slow, because the waters just are not cooling off. So hopefully before Thanksgiving, we'll be able to stock rainbow trout. That's always our goal, but it's never guaranteed because the waters have to be cool enough to sustain the rainbow trout. But there are rainbow trout stocked along the river from U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service below Hoover Dam. At Willow, it's been a little slow too because the water levels are so low and because it's so warm. And then also down Laughlin, where the water's flowing a little bit more, they'll stock rainbow trout down there too. All right, so factors like we just kind of went over a little bit is where to fish. So I liked this picture because there are some great spots. I'm drawing a blank on the landing at the Grand Canyon, but there's some great fishing around Grand Canyon, and in that over 10 arm and the basins up there by Echo and Temple Bar, so the Virgin Basin. But like you can kind of see the land comes up and creates these little sandbars, but right here you have the dark, oh sorry, wrong screen again. So you have these dark circle spool. The fish are going to hide in these deeper pockets of water where the water is staying cool but still moving and is well oxygenated. Also, food is going to hide along these little edges of ground, and then especially where you have this brush along the edge too. All of this is going to create bugs right along the water, and emerging species like dragonflies, the eggs are laid in the water and then they emerge up through. So as they're emerging, the fish are feeding on all of those insects. So you're going to look for all of them along these edges of vegetation. Where it is darker back here, even better. But this flowing water definitely creates great oxygen that rainbow trout really love. Different species of fish like different waters. So silly question, bass and bluegill are gonna be what kind of fish? There's cold water fish and warm water fish. Type it into the chat. So bass and bluegill can live year-round. So they're going to be warm water, especially down here. And then cold water are going to be trout. So that's why the trout are waiting for the cooler waters and the cooler seasons before we can put them in. So I'm looking at the chat while I'm talking. Probably shouldn't do that. Two things. So when is the water too hot for them to want to bite? The heat of the day in the summers, definitely. So we put in our fishing report for many reasons. The fish are not going to bite and it's going to be way too hot for you to go out during the day. So we always recommend sunrise and sunset. And even depending on the moon cycle too, if it's really full moon at night, the fish aren't going to bite at all, even after sunrise, even after sunset. So when that moon is up and full overnight, that's when they're going to fish. But for urban fishing, you're just going to have to check water hours, like when you're allowed to be on those waters. So Lake Mead's open 24 hours and you can camp in certain areas. So definitely when it cools, and then those warm water species are going to want to be out during the day when it's a little bit cooler. So one of the things I was going to definitely tell you guys about is shore fishing at Lake Mead is actually starting to pick up, and the threadfin shad that a lot of striped bass and other warm water species are feeding on actually move closer to the shore. So that brings in all the feeder fish, and everything's starting to move into the shore because it's not as hot. So we're definitely going to get into that in October and November. You guys have good questions. I'm loving it. All right, so I'm going to go back up before I lose that one. I don't have a lot of books. I do have a couple fly fishing books I will try to grab, and I will see you guys on, I'll actually message you guys on Facebook on your Fly Fishing Addicts page. A lot of my information I do get from YouTube, and I get from magazine websites because it's more current too. Those guys are out there fishing, then they go home and write an article. Yes, fish can totally see, by the way. So either like sit low, sit back. One more reason fly fishing is pretty cool is you can actually cast from further back, and then you don't have to get as close to the shore. But definitely like lower is better. There's even some days I just sit in my chair way to the back and will cast my spin cast rod so that they are more comfortable and try to make smaller movements, especially if they're really close to the shore. Best place to catch shad. It's tough. We have a lot of water on the river, so the threadfin shad are all over. We did see some pop up in Cottonwood Basin, but you just have to look for them in the birds, and the birds are going to feed on them as well. So look for the herons, the white-faced ibis, the drawing a blank on the white bird that we saw too flying around, but all those fishing birds are definitely going to be in the area of the fish. So definitely look for those. And thank you, Nicole. All right, let's get going on our basics. So all you really need is a good line, a good fishing line. So this one, so I'll show it on my face and the other screen so we can kind of do both at once. This is kind of an older one. I'm making the kids help me go through their fishing line too, but you can kind of see there's some catches in it. So this one's not casting. I actually just broke this one off, but I wanted to show you guys a good bobber setup. So I have it on.
Can you turn on the other camera?
Yes, I will take.
We're having a hard time with your background.
So cancel spotlight. And then if you guys do panelist mode, will it show both? Or does that help? Or I can.
Yeah, and for the attendees, if you guys click gallery mode, you might be able to see it better.
Thank you. Yeah, gallery mode will show both screens. Panelist only shows one, I think. Sorry. All right, so I have it over here. So bobbers are great right now because we still have so much water, so much vegetation. Oh, there we go. But it's also a little trickier for beginning anglers. But one of the coolest things, I'm gonna try to, sorry, I'm just gonna focus on the screen, is making sure that when you set up a bobber for a spin cast or spinning line, that when you wrap it around the top, and this is the part that's gonna go near your guides, that the top is nice and straight like that, so that when it's hanging, it'll hang, there we go, straight down. And then wrap around the side, and then lay it flat across the bottom. So pushing up on the bottom, making sure the wire is pushed in too. And then I go around to make sure that this doesn't slip on me. Circling the eye there. Clip it down. That way when your line is sitting on top of the water, and then you have your worm down below, it's nice and straight. And that doesn't, it gives the fish a little better, it doesn't feel so weird to them. But what the funny thing is, especially, I always go back to bringing the kids out because it's just so much fun watching them on some of these urban ponds, catching these fish. Bluegill are like only 2 to 3 inches right now at the urban ponds, but they are so active and they love chasing bright colored everything, everything from chartreuse to red. And so I'll find them chasing my bobber, sometimes more than my fly. And so sometimes you can just stick a fly on the end of your line too. It doesn't have to be a worm or imitation bait or anything like that, but they'll chase that too, and they love garlic flavored everything too. I'll take it like that. I do both. All right. Yeah, I'll just cover. All right, so whatever fishing rod, these 202ers from Zebco are great. They have lasted me, I think, 3 years now with thousands of school groups, except for this last year, just casting and casting and casting and getting stuck in weeds. So those are great for beginning spin cast rods and reel, and then a basic spinning reel. These were all donated from Bass Pro Shop from their loaner program. Oh, sorry, these guys. And then whatever fishing line. So there's threaded that you can actually, or braided, that it's almost like fishing with thread. That is great. I don't recommend it for beginners. It just gets tangled, and beginners, especially kids, and I don't wish that upon adults to have to do that for so many fishing rods at once. So I definitely recommend just a nice, good, smooth line for the kids. Even something a little green is always great, especially with our waters. It'll blend in nicer. You can kind of see this one's tinted green as well. Those are really, really good. And I do recommend switching it out as soon as you get fishing. If you get a combo setup, the line that comes on it comes really tight, and who knows how long it's been sitting in a hot warehouse, so it just breaks it down. All right, there we go. Basic tackle, your favorite multi-tool with the cutter, the line cutter in the middle is always really good, with a little clamp on top. So I always pick one of these. The one in the picture, this orange one, it's my little pocket one too, so sometimes I even have 2 or 3 so the kids can grab one. And that one is, the orange one, spring set, so that's always good. Red hooks are great for warm water fish. They love chasing that red around. And then I actually really like these bullet weights for out here too, because it moves through the weeds and doesn't get stuck as much as the egg ones do, or some of the drop shot weights as well. So these, when you rig them up along the line, it'll cut through the rocks and the plants the best. So we got a fishing pole, fishing line, a tool to make life easier, scissors if you really don't have anything else, a hook, and a weight. The weight also, just want to throw this out there, bigger weights for Lake Mead, definitely smaller weights for urban pond fishing. So something as small as that. So this is like a mini bullet weight, and it's about the size of my thumbnail. All right. So this is actually one of my favorite pictures, because worms for bait fishing are awesome if you have patience. If you have busy kids, I do recommend something that they can throw out and retrieve. And so you could put a worm on, but make sure you wrap it around that hook really good, put it on the bobber, and then they can slowly like wiggle it in. Also, if you can get them really good at casting, and we should have some videos uploaded for you for front yard fishing, get them used to casting out a bobber. Sorry, I was loud. But if you get them used to just casting a bobber on the end of a line, then they can take these lures out. And these are actually 3 really great colors for out here too. These are more spring, early summer, and then this would be a great fall one on the bottom. All right, keep going so we don't get too far behind. Also on our moving waters, jointed baits like this bluegill here are great. And if you're after that monster fish, bigger the better. They're very aggressive. Something medium sinker here, and then a rattle trap, like the shad would be great on Lake Mead. Some crankbaits here, something that looks like crawdads. Our crawdads are more green, so I don't, up north they're more red. So if you even fish with those green creature plastics, those are really great out here, especially later summer to fall and winter. And then dark is actually really good. These booyah jigs for bass are really great for striped bass too if they get hungry enough. So just a few things. And then sometimes you can even get the same lure for the bass to chase that the trout are going to chase. So these are all great trout lures here. Spoons, some spinners, rooster tails just means it has some feathers on the ends, some fabric. Trout, some crankbait, medium sinking lures that look like the trout. This is actually going to be a great pike lure for up north too. And then red and white like meps, and then these little jakes are great. They love that red. It comes on half the fish. It also is a sign of blood, so can't go wrong with that too. All right, so just throw this out there real quick. Please practice before you hit the water. Throw something across your living room if you can. Get the kids in the backyard early before school starts and let them cast a couple plastic fish. I do have an example of that for you guys too. And I brought this one up. There we go. Depending on how little the kids are, one of my classes, I do recommend these hard plastic fish. They even have some styrofoam ones that come with the beginning kid poles. Have them cast this stuff out, especially if they're like 3 or 4. They think they're fishing. They think they have a fish on every single time, even the one that they just casted out. This will get them casting and casting and casting, and they'll be happy for hours. Then you can focus and get the older kids going more. So definitely recommend these little fish, and then you can just throw it on a swivel too. I like this picture because there are fishing fanny packs. So we had them in the 80s. We brought them back for fishing, and we brought them back for running and everything else. I love having everything on me. I also I don't have a fancy tackle bag, but I do have a bag so that I can literally carry it on my shoulder and get going right out to the lake. So you can squeeze almost everything. I think I have 5 boxes squeezed into this size tackle box here. I put my tools up front. I put any canned like power baits on the side. And then on this other side are grocery bags, actually, especially since they don't return them to the store right now. I always take a couple extra out for anything I find or any of my garbage, and those always go on the side. And then you have tons of stuff inside. Anything that you think of, please type it in. So you don't need a lot. You can literally squeeze everything into this bag for 4 people, and then grab a few rods for everybody, and you're good to go. Have fun for hours out at the pond. Sometimes you will get lucky. I know I went up to Cummins in 2006 or 7 and got a 3-foot pike literally within 30 minutes, and then we got nothing else. So it's not always as lucky as we hope it's going to be that day. A lot goes into the fish biting, but learn your water and keep practicing and enjoy getting out. There's nothing better than social distancing than fishing, in my opinion. So enjoying your family and friends and keeping a great social distance. So stocking, we never can predict it. A lot of factors go into it. The delivery truck is one. The temperatures are another. How many fish have been caught and how many are potentially still in there. So we do try to ask you guys when we go out, or we check, like FishBrain app is great, and all that stuff. So, and then the budget goes towards everything. So when you buy a fishing pole, it does go to, there's a built-in tax, just like with ammo and guns, and it goes to fishing and stocking. So, so it is amazing how fast these quagga mussels grow on stuff. And say you went fishing at Lake Mead and then you want to hit an urban pond, I actually don't recommend that, especially when it cools off. Your fishing line can carry microscopic little veligers, which is the baby version of the quagga mussel. And we do not want them in the urban ponds, because then it'll make the pumps look like this thing. So be very conscious of that. Maybe have one set of fishing poles set up for urban fishing and one just for Lake Mead. So I have a couple of things on that too. The fish get sick. They'll try to eat the quagga mussels because they think it's food, but then it just sits in their body. And so it actually can make them starve to death. It becomes very expensive, especially when your equipment looks like that motor. Food sources, it messes up the water clarity too, so it actually can change the water quality for the fish. And then they end up having to put in a third straw at Lake Mead, so it can be very expensive too. So the more conscious we are of spreading stuff around, including invasive species, the better it is for all of us, including the fish we're trying to catch. So this picture is pretty awesome too. You can see the fish are hanging out on both sides. This is a native example, and this guy's eating these, but we don't see him in this picture with invasives because they're eating his food now. And so he didn't get to his food fast enough. The other fish ate it. Or another example is carp, and they will, sorry about my screen going in and out too. Carp will actually eat bass eggs. And so, or yeah, on the shore, they're just looking for food, and then they realize, hey, there's food right here, so they don't have to go as far. So one more reason carp are so bad, we don't want to put them back, because they can eat out of food at Praniget, and that's an example. There's not that many bass left because there's so many carp. So we do try to fish out the carp a lot. So if you're not catching anything else, feel free to hit Praniget and try to fish out the carp. Answer a couple questions. Yes, the mussels can attach to everything. I would say like a week in the summer, or 2 to 3 to even a month in the winter if you don't rinse off your equipment, including fishing poles, including this little orange fish. I have some just for Lake Mead, some for urban fishing. So don't mix anything. Make sure you clean it all off. Bleach water works, vinegar, just a quick little spray is really good. Alcohol I don't recommend because it's really bad for your fishing line too. So, and then here's our clean, drain, dry, is our big Nevada philosophy for cleaning your equipment. Yeah, so just no alcohol-based products near fishing equipment. That's what tears everything down. But vinegar is not too bad. Definitely dilute it. And then a little bleach water is not bad too. And with the germs and everything going around right now, I've been talking to a lot of educators at other states that do loaner equipment, and they just have been spraying everything with bleach water, and they haven't noticed any problems with their fishing line. So we're just going to go over that one. But these are species that you do not want to catch. If you do accidentally catch them, try to keep them in the water. They're very sensitive. We have a humpback chub here. We have a patch nose, gosh, I'm mixing up my names, chub. And then this is the infamous razorback sucker here. These are all native to the Colorado River, but unfortunately, the bigger versions of fish have kind of taken them out. And so they aren't stocked until they're about 14 to 16 inches, just like the large rainbows below Hoover Dam as well. They kind of look like carp initially just because they're coloring and all, but you can definitely tell that they don't have the scales like carp do. So just be really careful. They have the little sucker mouths too on all of them. So just careful if you're out and see these guys, try not to catch them. All right, so a couple more things. Bleach water, honestly, just like a splash of bleach water in a big bottle, spray bottle would be more than enough. And that'll go for the microbes on the line too. Just no alcohol near your fishing line, it'll just break it right down. Hemingway Fishing Pier was made as for ADA to as a disabled opportunity to be able to get out safely and fish kind of on the water. Same with Willow Beach. Those are both great. They do have a bit of an incline. So disabled get first pick at those places. That is the rule of the water. If there are other people, it's really small. I do actually recommend just going off to the sides. There's some really great fishing opportunities to either side of there as well. We have great park ponds. We have Floyd Lamb. We have one in Mesquite. We have Lorenzi Park right in the middle. Sunset Park is off to the side. Or right by the airport. I say to the side, it's near our office. There's a Beatty Pond that'll get stocked later on. There's some up near Tonopah, you know. So there are some close and there's some a couple hours away. And this is obviously all before COVID as well, and lots of family groups. So the main thing with fishing, sorry, when did it go back? Nope. Real quick. Fish responsibly. Just think before you do. Respect the water in your land. Keep it clean, because especially like white styrofoam or anything that looks like food, the fish are going to eat and then they're going to starve to death and die, and then we're not going to be able to catch them. So clean water is healthy water. Let them grow and go and grow. If they're small, it's going to be a pain to clean that fish. I highly recommend single hook and let it go, get bigger. If it's a nice, good size, medium sized fish, why not? Just remember your limits, 3 in the city, and with a rod and reel. And then selective harvest, only eat what you're going, or only take what you're going to eat. Freezer burnt fish isn't very good, so make sure like you'll be able to eat it before it gets freezer burnt or goes bad in the fridge. So there is a first catch. So if anyone is really new to fishing and you haven't caught a fish, even if it's a new species for you, please let us know. I'd love to get you a certificate from takemefishing.org. And then just a little tutorial. Be prepared before you go out. So make sure you have your fishing license, you have your checklist, you have some garbage bags to pack in whatever you find nearby, and you are safe. Check those weather conditions out here. Winds, normally your skies do not look like this right at sunset. The winds are blowing across the water. So just be prepared for that. Check your NOAA app. Check that radar actually more than anything. And check our fishing report. We'll let you know if fishing's finally going to pick up, what it's been like, what you can use. Yeah, we're here for you guys. Oh, okay. Thank you for asking. I have forgotten to say that lately. We recommend, the question is, how do you get the fish off the line to survive? If you touch them, make sure your hands are wet. Please do not touch fish that you are trying to put back with a towel. That dries them out, that ruins their skin, and they can't survive. And they're just gonna pick up a bunch of bacteria. So the best way to have them survive is have your multi-tool handy, honestly. And if you have to, like with little bluegill, cut the line. Leave the hook in, because if we're fishing for bluegill, the hook, ouch, as I stab myself, this hook, I'll show it on this camera here. You can't even zoom in that close. That hook is that small for bluegill. We're just gonna leave that in there, because if you try to get that out and you're trying to use the red to pop the hook out, you're actually probably going to damage the air bladder way worse than if you just left the hook in with a little bit of line. It will dissolve, it'll break down, it'll either heal up around them or it will stay in, but just be really good with cutting that line inside. Yeah, don't like leave it hanging out, because that is potential to get them hooked on something. So I do recommend single hooks. If you're potentially going to catch and release or catch too many fish and have to release. Treble hooks are okay for trout if you're going to keep them, but have that be prepared and have that ready before you go. Okay, so let me see if I can actually, I need to get an example fish for you guys. So let me try to set something up. So how I have a fish, I guess I'll just use my hand. So this is the fish's mouth. I try to get something bright enough for you guys to see it too. So my kid left a plastic on here. So, all right, so I have the fish. I have the hook. I'm gonna try to hook it. I'll show it on this bottom camera. So this is the mouth, and the hook's all the way down here. Try to turn that a little bit more. There you go. The line is going to stick out of the fish, right? Because you just caught it. Or here, we'll just use the bobber. All right. So the bobber's the hook, and that's the air bladder. So this is all stuck in the fish, right? You can't get that out. We're going to take our multi-tool, and we're going to get into the fish's mouth as far as possible and literally cut all the way down here if we can. And just cut. This is a bad example. Make sure you got it cut just right and cut. And then you're going to leave that in the fish. That is the least damaging thing you can do for sure. So that's what I've had to do. Especially with school groups, the kids can't take their fish home when we take them fishing. So if we get to do field trips ever again, my goal for 2021. Yes. All right, one more. So I'm going to actually readjust the bobber really quick, and I'll go full screen for you guys. So let me stop sharing, or here, let me share this real quick. Screenshot this. This is my contact information. So if you need one-on-one call, one-on-one instructions or anything, feel free to call or email to set that up. Obviously, we'll do it like this. And hashtag responsible recreation in our website, where you can find a bunch of stuff. And you can see how much fun he's having with this plastic little rubber fish too. All right, so stop share and show you guys. All right, so this is going to be my main screen. So the air bladder is not that close to the mouth, but like if you look in the fish's mouth and you look down, they have the little stomach and the air bladder is like right there. And a lot of times you're like pushing, actually instead of their stomach, you're pushing their air bladder right behind it. So I'm gonna redo my bobber for you guys. Yeah, it's probably, and then by the time you're trying to pop it out with that bladder popper or the hook popper out of the fish's mouth, it's just so long out of the water. So you're just trying to keep that fish in the water. And honestly, my favorite pictures are when people hold the fish in the water. So it's just the best. All right, so my hand's the fish. Sorry, this screen. Focus on the left, for me, the left. The hook, this is the stomach, this is the hook and line sticking out of the fish's mouth. So this is all sticking out. This is a perfect example of a bluegill, barely anything, right? But if you have a nice little multi-tool, so this one's kind of big. This is too big for bluegill. But if you have a nice little small pocket multi-tool or little scissors, you can get right down into that bluegill mouth and cut that line. And with these, I mean, the pinch isn't too bad, and the cutter's all the way back here, so you're not going to mess with the fish. And you're already done. You can put that fish right, it's disappearing into the water, and make sure he's like leveled off and he's swimming away. So make sure the water's deep enough for him to swim away. And then, yeah, rinse my hands off in the water, and then let them go. So I always have actually a couple of shop towels. Those blue ones are great for your tackle bag too. Yeah, so this will be recorded. You guys can hit pause and set up your own things too. So don't worry, you guys can definitely look it up on YouTube. So yeah, you just want to cut the line in the fish's mouth, and then that way they can still eat around that line, no problem. It'll either dissolve, it'll get spit out, or another fisherman's going to end up taking them and eat them. All right. Did we miss any questions? Any other questions? Q&A or anything? Any other tackle questions? Because I'm inside, I don't have all my fishing gear out. Hopefully we'll be able to do more of like a urban field trip. And then we can actually like show some casting too. So that's my goal. But after a few years, my son uses a spinning rod, which it looks like he may have broken. There we go. So he has a spinning rod, and then he has a spin cast as well. And then these are color coded red and orange. Those are his colors. And you can see it is a 202 Zebco as well. They're just easy, really easy to clean. Yes, Nicole, would you share the playlist link to YouTube? Awesome, you're on it, you're so fast. So we have a playlist link on we have all of our videos on there. Anything that you see on Facebook is going to be on YouTube as well. So you can actually look up a lot of our videos. And so on the playlist one is all of our webinars. So we have everything from fish to birds to coyotes to hunting. So literally everything. But it was awesome. You guys were so interactive. I loved getting to talk to you guys today. Thank you, Nicole, for all your help answering questions too, and links and all. And please let me know if you guys have any other questions, think of anything else. Fill out the survey so I know what you guys are looking for. So yeah, it was awesome. And it was my pleasure, and I will talk to you guys next time. Have a very good night, and please reach out if you think of anything.